Now, one of America's leading criminal profilers, Pat Brown, suspects that Cleopatra may have been involved in a 2,000-year-old cover-up.
As a cold case homicide investigator, I noticed this particular crime scene and said, this is very unusual. There seems something wrong with the way it is described she died, and I'm just not sure I quite believe it.
After 2 millennia, Pat Brown will reopen the case and investigate the death of Egypt's last pharaoh. For a decade, she has profiled some of America's most notorious criminals. She's a veteran of the Washington sniper case. Now, she's applying her skills to a 2,000-year-old crime.
I've done cases that are 20 years old, I've done cases that are 30 years old. This one's a couple thousand years old, so I'd say this is about as cold a case as you're going to get.
Diving the ruins of Cleopatra's city, she is in search of a truth that has vanished for millennia. And together with an international team of experts, she will test the suicide story.
She could then easily get back and forth between the two of them.
Yes, of course.
It would only inject a few drops at each strike.
This is a lot of venom.
Yes.
The team's expertise will help recreate a unique 3D model of the crime scene and reconstruct the last moments of the ancient queen. Brown will even identify a suspect with the opportunity and motive for murder.
It's always difficult to investigate a crime scene after it's gone cold. It's going to be one heck of a job, but I think it's possible. I think it can be done.
So because we also see, of course, the CSI, for example. So your job became very popular.
That's very true.
Do you do the same job in where we see in the
the way it's shown on television?
Yeah.
I wish we had cases like that. I wish we had the fabulous settings, and I wish we all could go get our makeup and hair done right before we could work every day, so we looked really sharp. And no, by the time they call us profilers in, it's usually a cold case, and they don't know what to do with it, which is why we show up. And then what we have is what you have here: photographs of cases, and we work with all the files, all the investigative materials, the interviews, the forensic reports, the autopsy photos, and the crime scene photos, and we sit there hours on end studying and studying.
I saw that the picture before was very, wow.
So when you see the people, or when you when you walk in the street, or for example, you look at me, could you understand which kind of guy, for example, I am?
No, absolutely not. I mean, this is one of these old mythologies that I can just look at you and go, oh, that guy is a criminal, and then I find out that you're the most wonderful guy in the world. I think it's all wrong in that one, because the face is not going to show anything, and sometimes a moment in time is not going to show anything. It's the history.
Megan was a very fragile girl emotionally. She had been depressed. Her parents had taken her to the doctor. She had been on medication for depression, and she had thought about suicide and mentioned it a couple of times.
Drew.
Ashley Grill basically did the dirty work for Laurie Drew, who actually posed as Josh, has actually made the messages, got on the computer and did all the work, but Laurie Drew put a lot of thought in it. She was the leader.
I know.
Michelle Linehan was simply a person who knew how to manipulate men in every way possible.
Within 8, but according to court documents, Kent apparently wised up just days before his death.
Something must have gone off in his head, because he took her back off that policy. And he even wrote a letter and left it to his parents and said, if I end up dead, then open this letter. In this letter,
The case went cold for almost 10 years.
She went on to college. She had a business, and she had a daughter, and she seemed like she was a normal, healthy, successful, good citizen.
David Costa had the misfortune of once knowing Sante's husband. Sante took out a $200,000 mortgage in his name, and with plans of burning down the house and then collect.
Profiler Pat Brown is in Florida to meet Jessica Schwartz face-to-face.
I'm going to go in, and that moment I'm going to look at it fresh. What do you have to tell me, Jessica, and how can I learn from you? I have read a lot about your circumstances, which is what interested me, because they're unusual.
had no sense of the meaning of manners or how to eat properly. I called up everybody and I said, what's going on? Why didn't anybody warn me? I'm not equipped to take care of a child like this.
You don't talk to nobody anymore. You just say, I don't know.
She is attempting to manipulate the children into believing she's innocent so they will not say bad things about her to the police.
I just don't want Edith to die.
We did.
At no place here does one see any empathy toward AJ at all. This is a child who's dead. This is a child who has just lost his life. And Jessica is thinking about herself and only herself.
Oh, look, they're watching us.
Herman Mudgett, never one to miss an opportunity, is one of the people drawn to the city. He's enticed by its bright lights. He'd stepped off the train in Chicago in 1886, shed his real name, and became Dr. H.H. Holmes. 5'7", slight with piercing blue eyes, he's a man not unlike the city, with a charming facade to hide his darkness.
If one ran into Holmes on the street, they might not be suspicious of anything. He might look like a normal person. He might be polite enough, and one would think, well, he seems okay.